Hello, friends from across the nation and around the world. I'm Martin, and you are listening to Dad's Anytime Stories. Today we're headed back into the world of Cards of Power for Chapter 7. This chapter is brought to us by Colton from Australia, who suggested the idea of a rainforest full of magical creatures, including one so rare that it couldn't be captured. So big shout out to Colton for that idea. As for the rest of you, if you like the podcast, don't forget to rate it and review it. That goes a really, really long way to other people finding it. And if you want to support the podcast further, you can always join us on Patreon, where you would get free access and ad-free access to all episodes of Dad's Bedtime Stories, as well as Dad's Anytime Stories, as well as any bonus content I release there. So check that out if you get the chance. But now it's time for Chapter 7. I've called this one Into the Jungle. Carter woke up and looked around. The soft sheets and sunlight streaming through the window confirmed what he already knew. He wasn't in the beginner hotel anymore. He was in his brand new intermediate level hotel room, which was significantly nicer than the previous one. In the bed beside him, Magnus, his fire dragonling, was sprawled out, his wings twitching slightly as he snoozed. Carter leaned over. Magnus, wake up, he said. Magnus poked his head up groggily. What? Where am I? Oh yeah. Time for another adventure, I guess. Yeah, let's go have some breakfast. The two of them hopped onto the elevator and rode it down to the main floor, where the unmistakable smell of continental hotel breakfast greeted them. Cereal, toast, sausages, eggs, bacon, juice, fruit, the works. Carter loaded up his plate, scarfed it down, and chatted with Magnus between mouthfuls. All right, Magnus said, his tone more serious than usual. Now that we're in the intermediate area, we're gonna need to be a little more careful. The creatures here are stronger than anything in the beginner area. Yeah, I figured, Carter replied. Now there are 4 parts to explore, Magnus continued. The jungle, the lake region, the forest region, and of course the mountains. Did you say jungle? Carter asked, perking up. I think we better go to the jungle. Well, okay, but I've heard it's one of the tougher regions. After breakfast, the pair stepped out of the hotel and into Turnaround Town, the central hub that connected the beginner and intermediate regions. Turnaround Town had everything: hotels, a hospital, restaurants, and a card shop. Carter decided it made sense to stop at the shop before heading into uncharted territory. The card shop looked quaint on the outside, but the inside was massive. Floor-to-ceiling shelves lined every wall, packed with magic cards of every imaginable type. There were cards for powers, magical creatures, magical equipment, and even a whole section devoted to something Carter hadn't seen before: camping cards. He wandered over, eyes wide, and stopped in front of one in particular: the log cabin camping card. It claimed to summon a fully equipped log cabin, complete with sleeping space and amenities. How much for this one? Carter asked, holding it up. That would be 1,000 tokens, the shopkeeper replied cheerfully. 1,000? I don't have anywhere near that much money. No problem. Have you thought about selling any of your cards? The shopkeeper asked. My cards? Carter blinked. reaching into his card core with his mind, sensing all of the magical companions and powers he'd collected so far. I couldn't trade any of these. I like them too much. That's because they're in your card core, the shopkeeper said knowingly. It is? Yes. When you put a card into your core, it becomes a small part of you. Oh, Carter said, eyes widening. Is there another option? Of course there is. You think everyone goes around stuffing every single card into their soul? No. When you summon a card, just don't absorb it into your core. Hold on to it. Stick it in your pocket, your backpack. I don't know, whatever works for you. Oh, huh. Yeah, I guess I thought putting them into the core was the only way. The wizards are doing a terrible job teaching you kids the basics. Just tossing you into the forest with a pet card and some hope, the shopkeeper muttered, clearly scandalized. Well, thanks. I think I'll go find some cards to sell. That's the spirit. Come back when you've got a few worth trading. With that advice in mind, Carter and Magnus headed toward the entrance to the intermediate area. 4 paths stretched ahead of them. The jungle trail was on the far left side, leading into a dense green tangle of things. Jungle it is, Carter said. All right, Magnus replied, flying up to his shoulder. Walking? Pfft, that was for people without flight cards. Carter reached into his card core, summoned his wing card, and immediately felt the familiar tingling surge through his back. Glowing energy wings unfolded from his shoulder blades and gently lifted him off the ground. With Magnus riding comfortably, they glided down the jungle path. Before long, the trail narrowed into an overgrown corridor. Tall grass brushed up on either side, nearly blocking the way, while dense vines and trees formed walls on both sides. Little squeaking noises echoed from the grass. What's that? Carter asked, landing carefully. Grass creatures, probably, Magnus muttered. Let me check it out. Magnus scampered forward, tail flicking into the grass and rustling it. 4 blue caterpillar-like creatures leapt from the brush, their antennae twitching. The grass itself seemed to react, blades twisting and launching themselves toward Carter and Magnus like throwing stars. Carter's rock armor activated instinctively, covering him in stone just in time to deflect the attack. I got this, Magnus said casually. Fire's good against grass, plus, don't forget, I evolved. With a flare of lava-bright veins, Magnus's body expanded. His limbs strengthened, muscles bulged, and flames ignited at the tips of his wings, tail, hands, and even his horns. Now, roughly human-sized, but far more dragon-shaped, Magnus looked terrifying. He roared and released flames in every direction. They twisted and spun around him before darting out and striking each caterpillar squarely. The creatures collapsed into the grass, knocked out cold but unharmed. Carter approached the first one, reached out and focused. The creature turned to glowing blue energy and coalesced into a card in his hand. Instead of absorbing it into his card core, Carter simply pinched it between his fingers and slipped it into his pocket. He did the same for the other 3. These mid-level cards were clearly trade bait, and that campsite card wasn't going to pay for itself. Further along, the trail opened into a pond clearing. Bubbles surfaced from the water, then multiplied. Then burst as a massive fish monster leapt skyward. It looked like a bass with an eel's body and a very bad attitude. Spotting Magnus's fire, The fish inhaled and blasted a jet of water directly at him. Magnus hissed, scales steaming. Ugh, water? I hate water. I think we might need some help, Carter said, already reaching into his card core. He summoned the lightning rabbit, who crackled with power as soon as he appeared. Another blast of water surged from the fish's mouth. The bunny didn't dodge. Instead, it jumped into the water's path and unleashed a blast of lightning back through it, right into the fish. The creature jolted, twitched, and then collapsed, unconscious. Carter approached, hand outstretched. The fish transformed into light and then solidified into another card. Carter didn't core this one either, just slipped it into his pocket with the others. They continued deeper, encountering a few more caterpillars, quickly handled by Magnus, and then came to a strange gate. Beyond it, the trail twisted deeper into the jungle. Carter pushed the gate open and walked through. Something felt different here. There was a hum in the air, power, and then a flash of blue light. Standing in the clearing was a massive bear. Not aggressive, just watching. Should we attack it? Carter asked. I don't know if that's a good idea, Magnus admitted. That thing feels way too strong. Carter extended a hand. The bear stood up. A point on its forehead began to glow. Soft, soothing music filled the air. Carter's head bobbed slightly. Everything started to look wobbly. His vision shimmered. He closed his eyes for 1 second and opened them at the gate again. The bear was gone. Magnus blinked beside him. How did we get back here? I don't know, Carter said, but I feel kinda sleepy. Yeah, let's get back the quick way, Magnus suggested. Yeah. Carter summoned his wings again, and the two of them lifted through the jungle canopy. From above, the jungle looked impossibly dense. They soared over the trees, heading back toward Turnaround Town. Once they landed, Magnus shifted back into his dragonling form and perched on Carter's shoulder. Before returning to the hotel, they stopped at the card shop. The shopkeeper was still there. Carter laid the cards on the counter, 10 caterpillar cards, and the fish monster card. Well, the shopkeeper said, inspecting them, the caterpillars aren't worth much, 100 tokens each, but the fish card, that's something. 400 for that. Deal, Carter said. The shopkeeper counted out tokens and offered them up. Want to buy anything? Carter grinned and plucked the log cabin campsite card from the shelf. He laid it on the counter. The shopkeeper grabbed the other cards, accepting the deal. Carter held his card up, activated his core, and let the campsite card become part of him. Then he and Magnus crossed the street, returned to the hotel, grabbed a late-night snack, and went up to their room. Sleep came quickly once again.